Honorable Oscar Mabuyani, our host, Inkosi Makhachabe, all other majesties, the King's Queen Doctor in Traditional Affairs, Prince Zolile Benz Ngamashe, Deputy Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Zoleka Kapa, MEC for Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Honorable Zolile Williams, Chairperson of the National House of Traditional and Khoisan Leaders, Khosi Thabo Siathulo, Chairperson of the Provincial House of Traditional and Khoisan Leaders, Nkosi Mpumalanga Kwadiso, members of the Executive Council, mayors and other councillors present, esteemed traditional leaders, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. When I received the invitation to address this summit, I immediately recognized the importance of this gathering, not only because the President has tasked me with promoting social cohesion initiatives with traditional and Khoisan leaders, but because you as royalty occupy positions of profound importance in our communities. You are entrusted by our ancestors to lead with honor, dignity, and wisdom. You are the custodians of our heritage, the guardians of our values, and the weavers of the social fabric that binds our nation together. Although pressing commitment prevented me from joining you in person today, I address you with deep respect and humility. My purpose today is to reflect on government progress in supporting traditional leadership and to consider how traditional institutions can continue to play a significant role in development and social cohesion within our constitutional democracy. Let me state clearly, government will never render traditional leaders irrelevant. On the contrary, we recognize that traditional leadership remains a vital pillar of governance, particularly in our rural communities. Long before colonial powers arrived on our shores, traditional leaders were the heartbeat of governance in African societies. Councils convened under your leadership resolved disputes, upheld justice, and ensured the collective will of communities was respected. Your authority was not imposed. It was earned through service, lineage, and trust by the people. History also reminds us that when colonialism sought to dismantle indigenous systems, traditional leaders became both the target of manipulation but also symbols of resistance. Some were co-opted into structures designed to divide our people. Yet others remained steadfast, preserving language, customs, and cultural identity in the face of oppression. This resilience helped lay the foundation for the democratic society we enjoy today. The transition to democracy, however, also brought new complexities. Traditional leaders have had to navigate the important task of preserving cultural traditions while operating within a modern constitutional state. Our Constitution recognizes this reality. It affirms the institution, status, and role of traditional leadership according to customary law and acknowledge its significance within our democratic order. This recognition reflects an important principle, which is our democracy must remain rooted in the lived realities of our people. Across the country, we have witnessed traditional leaders adapting in meaningful ways to strengthen governance and development. Legislative frameworks such as the Traditional Leadership and Governance Framework Act have aligned traditional leadership with democratic principles. Traditional councils work alongside municipalities within the system of cooperative governance. These councils include elected members and ensure the participation of women in leadership. Traditional leadership continue to evolve while preserving the heritage and legitimacy that communities place in these institutions. However, challenges remain. This summit therefore provides an opportunity to reflect honestly on the support provided to traditional leadership since 1994, the obstacles traditional leaders face in fulfilling their responsibilities, and the practical steps required to strengthen cooperation between government and traditional institutions. Ladies and gentlemen, the government has taken deliberate steps to restore the dignity and recognition of traditional leadership. Platforms such as the National House of Traditional and Khoisan Leaders, as well as provincial and local houses, ensure that traditional leaders participate in shaping policies that affect rural communities. Through these structures, traditional leaders have consistently raised critical issues, including land rights, socio-economic development, institutional capacity, infrastructure support, policy reforms, and social cohesion. In response, the President established the Interministerial Task Team on Matters of Traditional Leadership in 2022 to ensure a coordinated response to these concerns. The task team focuses on 5 key priorities: advancing land rights and socio-economic development, strengthening traditional institutions, investing in infrastructure and skills, promoting nation building and unity, and finalizing policy and legislative reforms. Through these initiatives, we reaffirm that traditional leaders are not bystanders in development. You are important partners in governance. At the national level, traditional leaders play an advisory role on legislation and policies that affect customary law, land reform, and rural development. At the provincial level, houses of traditional leaders must strengthen collaboration with legislatures and provincial governments to ensure that programs respond effectively to rural realities. At the local level, traditional councils must work closely with municipalities to close service delivery gaps and mobilize communities to protect public infrastructure such as schools, clinics, and water systems. In the Eastern Cape in particular, traditional leaders have a crucial role to play in confronting some of the most pressing social challenges facing our communities. When gender-based violence devastates families and communities, traditional leaders must stand at the forefront in declaring that no woman or child should live in fear. Our government has classified gender-based violence and femicide as a national disaster to strengthen coordination in addressing this crisis. But legislation alone cannot change behavior. Community leadership is essential in challenging harmful attitudes and practices that perpetuate violence. Similarly, when substance abuse and unemployment threaten the future of our youth, traditional leaders must guide young people towards discipline, opportunity, and hope. Members of the royal houses, as custodians of communal land, traditional leaders carry a profound responsibility. Land is not only a resource for economic development, it is also the foundation of identity, dignity, and empowerment. Managing communal land requires transparency, fairness, and accountability so that development opportunities can benefit entire communities. We must also recognize the potential of agriculture as a driver of sustainable development in rural areas. The soil is one of our greatest assets. When cultivated wisely, it can create jobs, strengthen food security, and provide opportunities for youth and women. Government initiatives such as the Presidential Employment Stimulus have already created more than 2.5 million employment and livelihood opportunities, many of them benefiting young people in rural communities. The Social Employment Fund is also supporting agricultural initiatives by providing training, skills development, and access to markets for smallholder farmers. Ladies and gentlemen, and our traditional leaders, the fight against poverty, inequality, and social fragmentation requires partnership between government and traditional institutions. This spirit of partnership is also reflected in the national dialogue, which has now entered its first phase. Traditional and Khoisan leaders form part of both the Eminent Person Group and the National Dialogue Steering Committee, ensuring that voices rooted in community wisdom and heritage help shape the national conversation. I encourage traditional leaders across the country to actively participate in community dialogues that will inform the National Dialogue Convention later this year, which will be led by the President. During this summit, let us reaffirm that the battle against social ills cannot be fought in isolation. It is won when chiefs, councillors, churches, schools, and civil society stand together. It is won when we empower women as pillars of resistance and invest in youth as leaders of tomorrow. And it is won when dignity is restored to every household. As we move forward, let us strengthen the partnership between elected leaders and traditional authorities so that together we build a society that is inclusive, just, and firmly rooted in the heritage of our people. As you continue with deliberations for the duration of this program, I wish you robust and directive engagement that will ensure that we continue to work together into the future. With those few words, I'd like to thank you and wish you well with the summit. Diabulela, thank you very much.